I want to ask you tonight, are we living in a day like this? A day of grace perversion, grace distortion? Are we living in a day when people are even trying to sell the idea that the way you're going to be sanctified, the way you're going to grow, is not by talking about things like obedience? Just think about grace. Just think about the cross. And that's how your life is going to be transformed. Away with talk about sin, away with talk about judgment, away with talk about obedience. You see, that's legalism. We just need to think about grace. Dear ones, I warn you tonight, the most dangerous kind of preaching to the church of our time is not the preaching of Joel Osteen. He is easy to recognize. If you have trouble recognizing what Joel Osteen is, you need to be reintroduced to the gospel. That's not the most dangerous kind of preaching. The most dangerous kind of preaching to the church of our time is a preaching that sounds right on the gospel but distorts the effects of the gospel. Don't forget, it's the book of Titus that teaches us the Spirit of God through Paul telling us that the grace of God teaches us, instructs us to deny ungodliness, worldliness, to live holy, upright lives, and he adds this, in the present age. If you really understand the grace of God, you understand you are called to live a life of holiness. And God has given commands. He has not just given indicatives in His Word. He's given imperatives. And we're called to hear the imperatives and obey the imperatives. And anyone who would tell you otherwise is lying to you. They're distorting grace. They're perverting grace. And it's amazing how there's an outbreak of the perversion of grace in lands that are under the judging hand of God. Because when God's judgment is on the precipice, now we want to believe in a God who doesn't judge. When there's an outbreak of sin in a land and everyone wants to embrace their sin, now we want to believe in a God who wouldn't deal with us for our sins, who wouldn't scourge us as God promises He does with every son whom He receives. Not with everyone, but I warn you, with some, when you hear gospel-centered, when you hear Christocentric, not with all, but with some, I want you to know you're hearing code for preach only about grace. Preach only about God's love, about His forgiveness, about His grace. And as you think about His love and His forgiveness and His grace, your life is going to be transformed. There are no imperatives, just indicatives. God telling you what He's already done for you. Now you rest in that. And I say to you that is a perversion of what the Bible teaches about sanctification.